Okay. Good morning, everybody. My name is Jordan Mosley. This is my co-host,
Steve and Untied.
Okay. Well, from there, this is UntiedJordans, Season 1, Episode 1. We're based out of Charlotte, North Carolina. Basically, we will also, first of all, I want to give a special thanks to Huga, the co-working co-op here in Charlotte, North Carolina off of Remount Road that allows us to do our business. We're very, very grateful and very thankful for you guys' business. Just a little back story about how this came to. Myself and Steven, we met in Charlotte, North Carolina at the Brevard Court alleyway, the college football kickoff weekend, if I'm not mistaken.
It was the Panthers versus Rams game.
Right. College football weekend into the first episode or the first NFL game of the season. So I met him in the alleyway. He told me he was looking to do sports podcast. I told him I'm looking to do the same. I'm looking for a co-host. We figured it out. His name is Stephen Untied without the E on the end. So I came up with UntiedJordans. Just kind of make perfect sense. Obviously, showing you guys Facebook Live. This is my co-host.
Let's go.
You know what I mean? So we're taking, because he and I have a lot of different views that make sense, but we're taking a view from one end of the spectrum and another end of the spectrum by way of how we look, obviously, and we're tying together the differences and the understandings to be able to give a complete and honest and very in-depth and substantial analysis of today's sporting world in most major professional common things that are going on nowadays: NFL, college football, NBA, etc., college basketball, and any major sporting events taking place as well. This episode is dedicated today to Charles Green, posthumous Marine veteran mentor of mine, and a current veteran as well, a guy named Joshua Resignalo, another very close and dear friend of my heart.
I'd like to give a shout out to all my brothers and my dad. As well as every man except for me has been in the military in my family. They've made that sacrifice so we can live free. We can have the opportunities to do things like this, and in my opinion, live in the greatest country in the world up to this point. It's not the best, it's not perfect, but we will make it better. And UntiedJordans is here to do that. Put a little more light in your life, and shed some light on some things we see in the sports world, and just to piggyback on what it means, untying things. It's fun to say for me,
Exactly.
It's my last name, and talking about Jordans, I mean the impact he made on sports is undeniable, and especially the marketing side of it. So
right, for sure.
We gotta have that same kind of impact.
I agree wholeheartedly. Well, the message of the day, very, very simple. Steven told me this yesterday. He didn't think I was paying attention in the phone conversation, so the message of the day comes from the late great Raiders owner, Al Davis. Just win, baby. The reason why this is important is because we're only setting out to do this podcast to win. We're only setting out to do this sports podcast to be the number one, eventually, sports podcast in relation to a white and black co-host who are doing this in a more brick and mortar podcast manner. Period, point blank. And me and Steven, we're very comfortable in having a lot of confidence in saying that. So, like I said, the message of the day from the late great Al Davis: just win, baby. So we're like 4 in. So I'm going to swing it to Steven right now for my 2 cents.
All right. So this is a segment called My 2 Cents. Jordan came up with, and it's just about putting out our opinions and our personal feelings on a certain subject in the news, in the media, in the sports world. So the big one everyone's been thinking about the last really 2 months, and we're going to go through the whole saga of Antonio Brown. And I'll give you just on the field play. In my opinion, I think he's the best wide receiver for the span that he's been in the NFL.
I don't disagree with that.
I think he's unguardable from the short routes, the quickness. He's like Devontae Adams within 15 yards of the line of scrimmage, and Julio Jones after 20 yards. The size advantage that you would think would destroy any chance he had of being a red zone threat is not there. Being a deep threat, it's not there. He's 5'10", and he still outjumps everybody. That amount of talent, I think, comes with a little sacrifice with character. And the reason I say that is when you have that enormous level of talent, it's going to be difficult for people not to cater to you a little bit.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think on the Raiders, with Tomlin being a player's coach, the organization supporting Tomlin in that way, supporting Cowher the same way before him,
Right.
He allows those personalities to come out in the locker room and to give them a little more leeway than a lot of teams do,
Right.
Especially successful teams.
Right.
And I think allowing him to show his character more and more eventually caught up with himself. Not with the team so much. They've been successful. They've had some injuries they've had to deal with, but they've been successful. I think it just finally caught up with him, and them getting Juju Smith-Schuster didn't help either. Him showing out last year and showing that they could have a number one.
Right.
And a number one without Antonio Brown and without that headache in the locker room. He's obviously a little more jovial, a little more calm than I think AB is. But like I said, you don't get, name an incredible talent. Not great player, but an incredible talent that wasn't a little bit of a head case. Even my favorite player, Aaron Rodgers, that's the only downside to his game. Or the criticism he gets in the public is he's a little bit of a head case. He's not a great leader. And I think that's what we saw with Antonio Brown when they asked him to be a leader. That wasn't what he wanted. He wanted to be the guy where in this league, if you have a Hall of Fame quarterback like Big Ben, he's the guy.
I understand. I feel like my thing with AB was this, and I won't speak to too much of the past of what made him who he is today. I'll just speak to what's going on currently. From what different sources that are reputable say, Big Ben has kind of a untouchable kind of aura about him in the Steelers locker room. Antonio Brown is a direct correlation to a lot of success that Big Ben has had over the last 5 or 6 seasons as a professional NFL quarterback, in my opinion. That being said, not to say you have to change as a person, but, and once again, from different quotes and different excerpts in the media that AB has put out there, that Big Ben is not the same guy in private as he is publicly and things of that nature. One thing, because I do still delve in professional locker rooms as an athlete, keep the same energy. That's all I'll say about that. And there's a lot of people who have more fair weather or more fickle opinion about Ben Roethlisberger that have played with them, things of that nature. I won't go into details, but beyond that, with the Antonio Brown situation in relation to the NFL, he did a lot of shooting himself in the foot, for sure. But my thing is, I would like to hope that eventually, and within the next 6 to 12 months, that it shows that there's a reasoning or there's a rhyme behind what he's doing. And the reason why I'm saying this is because he got to Oakland, loved it, fell out with Mayock, then found a way through a social media exec or through somebody who works really big in social media how to get off the Raiders. Got off the Raiders. Then he went, in my opinion, to football heaven for a guy who's a veteran player in the NFL on offense right now. You definitely want to end up being with Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. So,
especially with Belichick being stingy with the wallet, to go there and get that guaranteed money shelled out is not going to happen for everybody.
Well, that's beyond Belichick. So that's more of a Robert Kraft, team president, player personnel kind of thing. But nonetheless, having a guy like Antonio Brown be in that locker room and having a guy being in that locker room and a guy like Tom Brady welcoming you with open arms, even to the point of saying, "Hey, I want you to stay with me until you get some type of living situation that's solid up here. If you're going to be here for the duration, it just goes to show me how the rest of the league thinks about him. And one thing that I would want the novice sports fan to see going forward is if they feel a type of way about him and they have a certain type of respect for him, as regular sports fans, take a little bit more time to peel more layers of the onion back to figure out more of who he is, genuinely. But by the same token, I do understand any and every sports fan that will tell me on the back end that, he shows us how he feels via social media, so that's valid. So I guess for what it's worth, my 2 cents on Antonio Brown, I think when properly focused and when his mind is most calm, he's arguably the #1 game record in football. What I mean by that is a guy who the outcome of the game is totally and very much so affected by just his pure presence. So,
I couldn't agree more. I think even the games where I think he had 13 straight games where he had 5 catches and 50 yards at least.
Right.
And that was never done before, and it might not be done after. Just for the fact that he will draw a double team every time he's on the field.
Right.
What that did for Juju last year, you're talking about having 2 guys go over 1,000 yards, rarely happens in the NFL.
Right.
And not just going over 1,000 yards, but being a Pro Bowler, putting up almost double-digit touchdowns.
By the way, in relation to the 2 cents on him, I'm not a fan of what he did with Juju. Like the whole like Juju looked up to you, bro, and you treated him the way you did. That wasn't cool at all.
Here's my thing too with the whole Big Ben thing.
I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh no, you're fine. Big Ben's allowed to act different. And what I mean by that, not by the public or the media, but by the organization. Because he did it before AB got there too. Not that AB hasn't enhanced his career, definitely his numbers for sure.
Right.
They've gone off the charts since he got there. But as an organizational thing, he's won 2 Super Bowls and got to another one without AB. Or with a younger AB.
I don't disagree with that, because that's valid, and once again, I play the sport for a living still.
Yeah, and I say that's why they get rid of AB over Big Ben, because I think they're both game wreckers in their own ways.
There's a lot of quarterbacks out of here who have more of a daunting presence on the NFL field today than Ben Roethlisberger, even when he's healthy.
Oh, and I don't mean in the field. I mean the organization, because the Steelers are such a traditional organization. They give their coaches 15 years to get it right, you know.
Right. And usually they don't have to get it right. There's like, I think the Pittsburgh Steelers have had less than 5 losing seasons in the last like 15, 18 years or something like that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely recently. Well, I mean, going back to when Chuck Noll was there, it's the Rooneys run that organization the right way.
Right.
And so I think that's why they pick a guy that's the quarterback, because he gets paid more, and Big Ben's getting older. Right. I still think AB has 4 or 5 years left of high-level football because of the way he trains, the way he keeps his body in shape.
I agree wholeheartedly.
And he hasn't been injured very much. A lot of wide receivers get little tweaks. Devontae Adams coming off the turf toe. A.J. Green can't stay healthy.
Right.
When Megatron was out there, he played hurt for half his games, according, from the reports he said. And he doesn't even seem to get nicked up very often.
Right.
It's more of you're going to have to worry about him getting 2 penalties, getting thrown out of the game or something like that, rather than him catching a hamstring or an ankle injury or something.
Right.
And my last thing will be him. Not my last thing, but the big thing with AB is this sexual assault allegation.
Right.
And the way the NFL handles that is what's going to show his future.
I got you.
I think I'm not too sure what the NFL is going to find. I don't know what their investigation can show with something that happened in the past like that, with something that isn't going to have a lot of evidence.
Well, one thing I will say, Stephen, is you got to give the NFL their due diligence. You got to give them their respect. They will do their homework. Again, I'm pretty sure Antonio Brown meets with them either Wednesday or Thursday of this week. He will definitely, for sure, put himself in a situation to allow this to be like, how can I say this? He'll definitely put himself in a situation to have the NFL explain to him exactly what he did wrong, because of the fact that they're going to do all of their homework, and they're not going to leave. They're going to leave 0 stones unturned. They're going to leave 0 pages unturned. And as far as finding out information to figure out if he's guilty of something or not guilty of something, that's relatively easy to prove or disprove. But to think of it by way of the research that they do through the NFL security department. But my last thing on Antonio Brown is this. The coolest thing I thought he did in this whole process was start back going to school at Central Michigan. Now, this doesn't really much have to do with the allegations or him being in the NFL, but he took time to try to do something more constructive with the time he has as far as free time right now, because he's not in his primary career and profession. So kudos to him for that. But with that being said, I say that as a 2-part comment to say, if you're smart enough to leave school, if you're smart enough to leave, not smart enough, but if you're smart enough to go re-enroll in school when you know that you're not playing football at the moment, then be smart enough to even have people around you that are in a scenario or in a space or in a position or positioned to put you to keep you out of trouble. Because if you're that intelligent, then you can't be that unintelligent.
Just a buddy to say, hey, B, don't send that tweet.
Right. You know what I'm saying?
That tweet,
right.
Man.
You know, that's not.
Send the second tweet where you say, I apologize for the action my emotion have caused, and I really want to play in the NFL as soon as possible.
Right.
Just send that tweet.
Right.
Don't send the first one where you.
But this is my thing, and like I won't too tough go into super discussion about it like this on this show, but I definitely am not ashamed to sound pro-black. That being said, some of the things he spoke about in his gripes with how the NFL treats a player or treats a entity, because the NFL doesn't look at you as a person, just call it what it is. But commodity. And they're looking for the commodity that AB is. He has some valid points, but it was just terribly passed along, or I should say, like, recorded,
misworded and mistimed.
Right. I wouldn't even. Well, the mistiming, yeah. Miswording, not so much. Was the wording uncomfortable for those who didn't? Was the wording? And I'm not talking about the Mike Mayock comment, because I don't condone stuff like that. Just like I don't condone the N word, I don't condone the C word in the white world either. I don't condone that. So I'm not speaking to that, but what I'm speaking to is in reference to the things that made AB, or the things that AB said that maybe made some people kind of uncomfortable while also still telling the truth. You know?
I'd like to address that. What has the NFL shown that it's not pro-black in a business stance, meaning, especially now? I understand in the past, quarterbacks can't be black and everything, but right now we have 3 black quarterbacks in the MVP race.
Well, no. That's not my point. I'm not speaking to that, and that's a Pandora's box. I'm not even going to try to, because I don't have a big enough or strong enough key for that, so I'm not going to bother with that.
I understand.
But what I will say is this. With Antonio Brown, what I mean by that, okay, perfect example. About 2.5 to 4 weeks ago, he put a post out. I think it was like within the last couple weeks. He put a post out. He's still like top 12 in jersey sales. The NFL makes money off of his name, but he has to go to the courts to file grievances for, I think, $39,175,000 worth of back money that he's somewhat owed. He's trying to get his hands on. I get that part, because he probably won't get most of that. But at the end of the day, if I'm not there in the league, whether it's my own doing or not, I can't say with a straight face, don't make money off of me. But I get what he's saying too, because like the conversation we had on the way over here to the studio today. The NFL is a 32 league revenue split. Once again, for those who don't know out there, all 32 teams split the big pot at the end of the year, at the beginning of the fiscal NFL year, which is usually the first week of March, second week of March, between the 9th and the 15th of March usually. So it's a situation where if they making that money off of him, even though it's going to be divvied up 32 ways, like, if I'm not a part of it, or if I can't be a part of it for me to make my money doing what I love, don't make money off of me on the back end just because of my presence, or just because of the fame that I've worked to earn and create and generate. Because Antonio Brown, although now he's more of a lightning rod of conversation, he's still, in some eyes, a relatively popular figure in the NFL. There's still people that love Antonio Brown. You know. So,
hands up right here. I love the dude.
Right.
On the field, I feel like he makes me feel like I have a chance to be a semi-good athlete. You know what I mean? Because he doesn't have the natural physical body that you want Calvin Johnson, Julio Jones, guys like that have.
He's 5'11" with a 6'7" heart. 6'5" heart. That's for sure. That's what it is.
Off the line too. I mean, just the quickness he has is I think unmatched. We've seen in a long time.
Right.
Moving on. All right, we got our next segment. One I wanted to call Warriors. Obviously, it's Veterans Day.
Right.
It makes us think about what we're fighting for. What's
appreciate all the current troops too, man. Thank you for
absolutely
what you do for our country, bro.
Oh yeah, my brother is in the Marines right now, stationed out in San Diego. Reason I wanted to talk about Warriors. What we're talking about is athletes that lasted in their sports or had an iconic moment where they pushed through an injury and it was obvious. It was heart-wrenching. Essentially a prolonged Kobe Bryant swishing 2 free throws with a torn Achilles.
Yeah, but something just like
game long,
even bigger level than
season long, or just a bigger moment, whatever it is.
Right.
So one I wanted to bring up first, of course, we're going to talk about the baseball ones I want to talk about first.
Okay.
Cal Ripken Jr. Now, I think there are more impressive Warrior stats out there. But as far as consistency, bringing it every day, you're talking about playing 20 years without missing a game.
He did 31-51, right? How many total games?
26-32.
26-32. I used to have that number like down pat.
And that, I mean, 2,000 games. Not even to be like, hey, I just want a day off. There was seasons where the Orioles had no chance of winning. Right. They weren't in the pennant race. But he said, no, this is my job. I get paid good money to do this. I love it. That's the big thing with this.
I agree.
This is where a guy like Kawhi Leonard will never make a list like this. I'm gonna sign with a team, try to take you to the championship, but you have to give me 25 games off.
Low management is not necessarily Kawhi Leonard's thing.
Oh, no. I'm not saying he started it, but I'm saying that's where he won't make a list like this.
Well, I mean, I don't disagree with that, but he won't make a list like that nowadays because the professional athlete is not as gullible. I don't mean any harm. And granted, I've watched actual interviews when they asked Cal Ripken about 26-31. He says it was days he didn't want to do it. It was days he was sore. It was days he wanted to take a day off, but he did it anyway. Like, I feel you, but a guy like Kawhi Leonard playing in the NBA, like, I don't see that happening. I can see that in baseball. Not taking anything away from baseball, not dissing the baseball players out there, just saying. Not taking anything away from what they do.
Not as physical.
It's not at all as physical.
Not close.
It's not violent at all unless you create a violent situation on the diamond.
But there have been players in a more physical era that were superstars, top of the game. Michael Jordan played 82 games multiple times,
right,
and played 80 even more times.
Right.
Will Chamberlain had a season where he didn't miss a single game and actually averaged more than 48 minutes a game because of the overtime minutes he logged during the season. He didn't come off the court.
Will Chambers was decent. So.
Yeah, he is a different animal than the rest of us.
But for example, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Brett Favre had it, then Peyton took it. The consecutive starts by a quarterback.
Brett Favre still has it.
Okay, cool. He's got, what, 190 plus or something like that?
321 games straight, including playoffs.
There we go. This is why he's my co-host, guys, because, like, I know sports very well, but, like, he's got all the numbers. See how sharp he is with his numbers.
The way Brett Favre played the game is what impresses me most, and to do it with broken thumbs, with separated shoulders, addicted to painkillers during his MVP years. A lot of people don't know that story. But we're talking about a dude that's persevered through, a public hang-up in his marriage.
Right. Vicodin addiction.
Early in his career.
Losing his dad on a Sunday, playing the next night on that.
That's where I bring up the warrior in Brett Favre. He lost his dad, threw for 398 yards and 4 touchdowns the next day. Right. They asked him why.
I saw Javon Walker on TV too.
I know.
It was so incredible.
I think I saw Tebow throw a pass to him in Denver a couple years later, and I was like, wow, that's Javon Walker.
Exactly.
And, all right, moving on.
You know who reminds me a lot as far as present-day warrior in relation to Brett Favre is Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers.
Exactly.
He's to me, like, because mind you, I remember watching Phillip Rivers way back. I'm from Columbia, South Carolina. I'm a South Carolina guy, so I remember way back seeing Phillip Rivers in North Carolina State. Like, wow, this guy's amazing. Oakley visor, had a little drip about him, had a little swag about him. So I'm like, okay, well, I see what you got going on. I like it. And then he had Jericho Cotchery. Like, because if you're from Columbia, you saw a lot of NC State. Oh, yeah. Chuck Amato days, really good football, really, really good football. So seeing him now in the league progress the way he's progressed with the San Diego Chargers, the LA Chargers, formerly of the San Diego Chargers, he's super, like, how can I say this? He's super, like, how can I say this? He's definitely like the Riverboat Gambler of my generation of quarterbacks.
He's our gunslinger. You know he's our Brett Favre. I agree with that. Right. I think,
and I mean that in the sense of being a tough-nosed guy who, little country to him, he talks a lot of smack, things of that nature.
He takes.
Nobody's saying that Phillip Rivers is as good as Brett Favre.
Oh no.
That's another thing about this podcast too.
If
we get certain things coming on these comments and stuff, man, like, we'll speak on it, bro.
Brett Favre is my favorite player ever. Okay, so I think Aaron Rodgers is a better quarterback than him, but there's no one more fun to watch Brett Favre because you don't know if this play is going to be a 70-yard bomb or a 4-yard interception return for a touchdown. You don't know. It makes it more exciting.
I guess I'd have to revisit the Aaron Rodgers Brett Favre comparison when Aaron Rodgers hangs him up, because as of right now, I can't give it to Brett. I can't give it to Aaron over Brett because the only thing right now that I think will make Aaron Rodgers a better Packer quarterback all time to me than Brett Favre will be another ring. But that's hard to say that he's going to acquire that because the NFC for the first time in a hot second is loaded.
Brett got one ring with a defense I would argue is much better than anyone Aaron's had.
Right. I had a buddy of mine. He just gave an opinion back to because we're still in the Warriors segment.
Oh, for sure.
He was speaking about Kawhi Leonard. He said He said Brett Favre's situation doesn't have much to do with Kawhi Leonard's situation. I don't disagree with that. I agree with that wholeheartedly. But what we're saying is the fact that, like, him being like Brett Favre being that kind of warrior back then, we could never see that today with a guy like Kawhi Leonard because of load management. Although load management in Kawhi Leonard's case is not up to him, it doesn't have anything to do with him. Like,
oh, you don't think so?
I'm not saying it doesn't have anything to do with him, but I'm pretty sure that if he's
not
playing
his agent.
No, not even that. I'm just pretty sure that and I could be wrong. I could be totally wrong. That's okay. But I just don't think that when they tip the ball off, that he just decided he's not going to play tonight.
You know whose fault I personally think it is? I think it's Popovich's. Popovich babies his superstars in a way that it blows my mind a little bit.
To a particular degree, I gotta vehemently disagree with you with that, because he's so far removed from dealing anything with Greg Popovich at this point.
No, but I think he got used to that. I think he got used to only having to play 30 minutes a night.
Well, I mean, you gotta think about who's down there with him. Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker.
No, I agree. I'm saying Popovich had the personnel to be able to do that.
Right.
The Clippers have the personnel to be able to do this.
Right.
For the fan, it sucks. Right. Not for him. For Kawhi, it's great. You're getting paid the same, more money, and you're not having to play as much and put as much on you. And I see where you're coming from as a player.
I don't think it kills fans as much as people try to.
You didn't want to see Giannis play Kawhi last Tuesday?
I mean, I wouldn't mind it, but what I'm saying is like, the fan is butthurt by load management. But to me, I feel like coaches love it more than the players love it. The franchise and the organization hates it because at the end of the day, they're just trying to get return on investment. This is what it is. I respect that. But by the same token, I also feel like ultimately it's a scenario, to me, in my opinion, where like, I don't know, like the whole load management, I don't know, I'll be honest with you, I think the whole load management thing is stupid, which is also carrying back to the point of this Warrior segment, which is why a lot of guys in today's NBA, except for maybe a guy like LeBron James, you can't say that. Like, you can't say that about a lot of guys in the NBA.
That they're warriors.
Right.
I agree, man.
You know what I mean?
One that I would add in there with LeBron is Russell Westbrook. I think he battles hard every night, and he's bringing it to you no matter what.
I would put him in the warrior category also to add, just because of the simple fact that he just, like, you don't really see Russell not playing. You don't really see him
ever
out, or like, you've never seen him have a catastrophic injury. But you know what I'm saying? So
the one playoff run, but it was the end of the season and it wasn't
right.
Too
and you gotta consider him a warrior just because of the simple fact that he's a walking triple double. You know how much energy you gotta have to be a walking triple double in the NBA?
People say he steals rebounds from other people. No,
he's just active.
Didn't do it. They didn't go and get that rebound. He did.
I won't speak to all that because I'm not a professional basketball player, and so it could be truth to that. But all I'm saying is the kid goes hard.
All the time, 100%.
Very hard.
So back to baseball real quick. I just want to throw one more out there. The Kurt Schilling game with the ankle being bloody.
Yeah.
That's a moment that lives in history because of
that
we knew what he was.
That might arguably be the biggest warrior moment in sports. Not probably the biggest warrior moment.
But on that stage,
it's one of the biggest. It's one of the most polarized moments because of the stage.
It's up there.
It was ALCS. Or was it a World Series?
I believe it was a World Series. No, it was ALCS against the Yankees.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So at Boston. So yeah, I mean, I can appreciate that. I can appreciate that comment for sure.
Absolutely. And the one I will give you for football, my most impressive Warrior moment is T.O. in a losing Super Bowl effort against the Patriots. 2004, he broke his leg and caught
9 catches, 104.
I think it was 13 for 134, something like that. Anyways, had a record-breaking Super Bowl as far as catches and yards goes on a broken leg.
Gotcha.
One thing I've always heard about Tia from the media, he's a diva. All he cares about himself. He wants to be in the media's eye. But all you ever hear about from his teammates and former players, the guy works hard, shows up every day.
All I can say about T.O. in real life, because I'm very, very good friends with his publicist at one time. I don't know if she still does business with him right now, but a lady named Alvina Austin called him on TV. Miss Alvina told me this when I met her in China, when I was playing ball out in China in 2016. Like, T.O.'s one of the greatest people you ever want to be around. But the thing of it, the problem that the NFL had with T.O. was just, from what she was telling me, from what she could understand, you know, it's a situation where, you know, I don't know, I guess it just rubbed people the wrong way, you know. But by the same token, wasn't never in any major trouble, never got any domestic disputes.
He pays like 9 different women child support, and you never hear anything bad about the dude. You know?
And speaking of Warriors, I got a shout out my boy Darren Clark Jr. He says Damian Lillard.
Okay.
Definitely a Warrior.
I like that.
And he's definitely a guy, and this is why I have to agree with him, the fact that he's a Warrior, because he plays with his heart out here. He plays with his whole heart out there. Like, and he'll take your heart. Like,
that's what I like right there.
Man, he got a killer.
All these guys trying to team up in the NBA, trying to be a super team, all that stuff. He says, no, give me C.J. McCollum, and we're going to do it. He said, I want to lead a team. I don't want to join another team.
Another honorable mention Warrior moment, the Ronnie Lott finger surgery. Oof. That's big. I ain't gonna lie. I mean, it's the first one. So, like I said, everybody, this is interactive. So, you know, me and Steven, let me put him on the camera too. Me and Steven, we don't just talk. You know what I mean? Like, we're not just gonna talk at y'all. Like, nobody really does sports coverage nowadays that makes any sense that way.
And not to mention, we don't know everything. We don't always remember everything. If y'all know a good Warriors moment, throw it out there. We'll talk about it.
Right.
If you know anything about it, we will talk about it.
Right. Please always know that y'all can interact with us, bro. We're gonna give y'all like live, and we're always gonna give you guys like live, like real time, you know, response. So, jumping right into the NFL review. Let's just jump right into it.
Oh, I actually had one more I wanted to talk about. That's okay.
No, you do.
And this one I'm gonna call a social warrior. All right, we're gonna talk about Jackie Robinson real quick. Everybody knows he broke the color barrier in baseball.
Right.
1947, April 13th, Branch Rickey brought him on the Dodgers. It's a historic day. Right. What's even more historic about it, I think, is it shows the forwardness that sports creates.
Right.
It's one of the closest things to an meritocracy we have, as far as you put the numbers up, you produce, you get a chance.
Right.
And even in a time when people, they just thought wrong about things. Right. It was forward in that. Baseball was ahead of its time, ahead of our country, ahead of the world. And I think that shows Jackie Robinson's a warrior right there. But not to mention that, his time in the military, okay, he was essentially the Rosa Parks of the military. So he...
when you told me this yesterday on the phone, it kind of threw me for a loop. But I'm like, okay, explain.
I had no idea about this story. It's wild. He actually applied to be an officer after a couple years in the military and kept getting denied.
Right.
So he went over his boss's head and filed appeals and complaints, and eventually got moved up to officer. Was in the 761st Regiment, the Black Panthers in the Army is what they were called.
Right.
Like I said, back then, it wasn't perfect. It's still segregating, but he's breaking through. And what I mean by that is he had a situation where an officer asked him to move to the back of the bus because he was a black man, and he said no.
Right.
So what happened? He gets court-martialed. So he gets charged with, failing to follow an order by an officer. So after months of that, he fights it. Finally, they gave him an honorable discharge and said he did nothing wrong, said that he was in the right. And it changed the color barrier in the Army, where black people and white people sat in the Army. It's something I didn't know until I started researching this a little bit, and it's really awesome to see that this guy wasn't just doing it in his professional life. It wasn't, I've heard conspiracy theories. Oh, he was paid off to be the first black man.
Right.
He was.
Which doesn't even make sense.
It don't. It's like it was something hard. Like Brain Tricky was like, "Oh, you're going to do it for me."
Right.
Like Brain Tricky wanted that hope, but this dude was fighting it from the time he was younger, and I think that's why he was chosen to a certain extent. Is they knew his track record. I'm sure they did. They knew this man was willing to fight up for principles that everyone should be fighting for.
I agree with that, and I didn't know this story, so like when I was told this story, I sat back and I thought about it, like, wow, like you got to be a pretty bossy guy to go through what he went through and be able to make it out the way he did, and just be able to like keep a certain wherewithal about himself to make sure it was on point. You know what I mean? So
absolutely.
Again,
sorry, everybody. These cameras are having technical difficulties.
Shoot, man, it's just, I don't know if it's the camera so much of the tripod. I don't know. It looks, I couldn't tell you.
It's definitely the tripod.
Word, yeah. Well, I mean, I was gonna say the future, we use one like over there or whatever, but as long as they keep me in. But so guys, running, and by the way, Reggie, Melo, D-Wade, CP, and LeBron. We did mention the fact that LeBron is definitely the warrior of today's day of basketball, in today's day and game of the NBA. Not saying that Melo, Wade, and CP aren't, but we're talking about the guys who just have like some of the biggest warriors in sports and some of the biggest warriors / moments. So I'm not discrediting that, but we won't mention that. But I'm not. That's not to say that you're wrong. We agree with you wholeheartedly. You know what I'm saying? So putting it out there. Jumping right into the NFL review. Best thing I saw yesterday in the NFL, Lamar Jackson's, I think it was like a 49 or 51 yard touchdown run. Haven't seen anything since a young brother named Michael Vick was in the league. I thought it was very, very amazing. In reference to Green Bay and the Packers. In reference to Green Bay and the Panthers. Excellent game, classic, early November, snow kind of coming out of nowhere, but people in Green Bay already knew it was going to snow kind of game, pretty dope. I'm not mad with what Carolina did on the goal line because you give your you give your best player the football, but let's call it what it is. Carolina's O-line is very patchwork at best. The best lineman to me is a shell of himself, Trey Turner, who was a All-Pro pick 2 or 3 seasons ago, and now is basically a perennial Pro Bowler. Kind of by fan vote, but he's also a dog at guard too. So I felt like you give him the ball right there, but they didn't get enough push to get McCaffrey where he needed to be, and it was inclement weather. I get all that, but you can't get a yard. God bless you.
Yeah,
by the same token, it's just that was my take on that.
Oh yeah, I agree. Being a Packers fan, I was happy we won.
Right.
Was not happy. I was happy with the last play. Right. I figured they were going to hand it to McCaffrey, and I thought he'd walk in untouched with the way our rush defenses looked lately.
Right.
He had over 140 yards from scrimmage again.
Right.
This dude is real. Anyone who thinks he's too little to get the ball every down, and y'all didn't watch him in college. That's all I'm going to say. Watch his highlights at Stanford. This dude runs up the middle better than Derrick Henry, and Derrick Henry's a giant for running back. He's 6'4", 240. And I'm taking McCaffrey to run up the middle if I got to.
Right.
That being said, somehow the Packers stopped him on that last play. I thought that O-lineman was just going to pull him into the – he tried to pull him into the end zone at the end there. He didn't.
Right.
The best thing I saw yesterday was Mahomes. And I know they lost. It was 32-35.
Right.
But this guy hasn't played in almost a month of football. He's 3.5 weeks now.
Right.
And he got on the field and looked like he didn't miss a beat. No rust.
Pretty sure it was like 339, 3 touchdowns yesterday or something like that.
439.
Oh, he threw
3 touchdowns.
Wow.
Yeah. Looked amazing. But the Chiefs aren't. That defense might be the worst thing I saw yesterday. I mean, could not get Ryan Tannehill and the Tennessee Titans off the field, who have been inept at offense every other week.
I mean, they have things that work in Tennessee on their offense.
No. I mean, scoring wise, they just haven't been.
No, I don't.
Good,
I'm not discrediting your statement. What I'm saying is this: a team like the Tennessee Titans, like them having a game like yesterday, kind of makes sense to me because they got a really good running back. I can't say great yet. They got a really good running back. They got one really good lineman that makes usually in the NFL. You got one really good one or two really good ones. It's a trickle effect. So. You got Taylor Lewan, You got Ryan Tannehill kind of reincarnating himself. You got Corey Davis. You got Tajay Sharp. You know what I'm saying? You got some threats there. You got Delanie Walker, who I don't think played yesterday because he's hurt. So you had Jonnu Smith out there. Their defense, I don't know much about Tennessee's defense outside of their front seven. So, I guess they play well. I don't know. I'm not a Titan fan. I'm not a Chiefs fan.
Yeah, me neither. But that's...
but to talk about it because, Patrick Mahomes coming back from a dislocated kneecap. So it's definitely conversation worthy. But
That's what's troubling about it because a team like Tennessee relies on their defense to win. So if you can't hold them to under 32 points, I don't see the playoffs going that well for you.
Right. I agree with that.
With the way Baltimore's playing and the way even the Colts or Houston can control the ball with their run games.
Right.
And the playmaking ability of Deshaun Watson's been incredible.
I agree.
This season.
I agree.
Kicked in the face and throwing a touchdown. I've never seen that before. I don't know if we'll see it again.
Yeah, it's just the beauty of the NFL. That's what I call plays like that in my personal opinion. It's just the beauty of the league that we watch every Sunday, every Monday night, every Thursday night. Dallas and Minnesota. Dalvin Cook, 1,400 and either 65 or 1,495 yards in the first X amount of games. 9, 10 games?
I think they're 7-3, so 10 games. So
that's pretty dope. I knew he was tearing it up there, but I'm also kind of not surprised because they have a decent O-line up there, better than average. Riley Reif's their tackle. Pat Elflein's their left guard.
They picked up Khalil from the Panthers, I believe, at center.
No, Ryan Khalil's playing for the Jets, starting center.
So Matt Khalil maybe. They got
Matt Khalil was in Minnesota. If you remember, Matt Khalil got drafted. Matt Khalil was like the 7th overall pick with the Minnesota Vikings. Played for like 3-4 years. Played like 4 or 5 years for him. Then he got cut.
Okay.
And they took Riley Reif, who was a first round pick from the Detroit Lions.
Right?
Iowa guy. But Iowa, they put O-linemen in the league like USC put skill players in the league. This is what it is. They play really good football in the trenches up there. Not seeing Ezekiel Elliott get more involved in the passing game kind of bothered me. You know what I mean? But we shall see. You know what I mean? It just kind of is what it is. But I thoroughly enjoyed, because I play center professionally, so I thoroughly enjoyed the trench battle last night between Dallas's O-line and Minnesota's D-line. Because you got some of the biggest enigmas on both sides of the ball in football from both trenches. You got the best guard in football in Zach Martin. You got the best center in football when healthy, Travis Frederick. You got the most physically freakish athlete in the NFL, arguably by the name of Tyron Smith. But then again, you got a buzzsaw in Everson Griffin. You got a walking action figure in Danielle Hunter, who looks like a linebacker at defensive end at 6'5", 275 pounds, running 4.5. It's ridiculous. And then you got Linville Joseph, who is literally the new mountain man of the NFL. He's like 6'5", 340. You can't move him.
even more impressive. He was out last night.
Right.
And Ezekiel Elliott had his lowest rush yards in his history at 47 yards, I believe, or 42 yards.
Wow, I didn't know that.
It was. I mean, they shut down the run game, and that scares me as a Packers fan. The way Kirk Cousins played this season, he should be on the top 5 for MVP list, in my opinion.
There's at least 3 quarterbacks that are better MVP candidates than.
I agree, but I put him at 5 right now.
Top 5 quarterback in the league right now.
No. I mean MVP race, not top 5.
No, top like so. You talking about top 5 quarterback
MVP
MVP
race?
picks?
No, just MVP race. I put him in top 5 right now. I give it to you. Wilson, Jackson, Mahomes, or McCaffrey, Mahomes, and then him.
Just because I got to shout my boy Tim out. He feels like Dalvin Cook should be in the conversation. Christian McCaffrey.
I got McCaffrey at 4.
Dalvin Cook, my 5. Dalvin Cook, Christian McCaffrey, Russell Wilson. If Houston can do some good things on the back end of the season, potentially Deshaun Watson and Lamar Jackson.
I think he took the lead last.
If Russell Wilson wins tonight, he's the MVP. He's the MVP. Like he's leading the race again. But it's not as defined.
Lamar is closing that gap.
Right. And by the way, my Monday night pick, I'm taking San Francisco by 3.
Really?
Jimmy Garoppolo is my quarterback in 2 different leagues, so I gotta give him that juice.
Yeah, put that out in the universe.
Exactly, I gotta put it out in the universe. place, exactly. So
Taking the Seahawks by 7.
I got San Fran by 6.
I know it's a large
boy
spread.
Chris Sam say Jackson. Hey, that boy Lamar is, man. I played with a quarterback in college named Sue Wallace from Miami, Florida. Him and Lamar know each other very well. Hey, man, that about the closest thing I've ever played with a guy like Lamar Jackson. Like that boy's a fool. That boy is nice.
That was our quarterbacks in my high school. We had super athletic, dual threat quarterbacks.
Right.
But we threw the ball.
But the way he's throwing the ball is really, really amazing. Like, he's throwing the ball very. People, do you know that yesterday was his second perfect quarterback rating of the year?
Never been done in history. It's crazy. It's crazy.
But we heard coming in today that they still don't feel like he can throw the ball. It's ridiculous. Like, y'all got to give it up, man. Lamar Jackson can throw football in the NFL. I'm tired of people not saying that.
To me, it's the Cam Newton, Josh Allen comparison. Can he become?
Go ahead.
Can he become accurate enough to be an elite passer when they know you're going to pass? Right now, they're running 50 times a game, and then off of play action, it makes it more simpler to read a defense. It makes it. They don't give him 3 reads; they give him 2 reads, and they say, find a hole.
I got you.
And that's the way they should play. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. He's playing incredible, 10 times better than I ever thought he would. Not ever thought, but thought he would at this point. I thought it'd take him 3 or 4 years to get there.
Fact.
The way he's throwing the ball is so impressive to me.
Jason Tequila, good morning, big dog.
But it's Greg Roman. It is what he did with Kaepernick made him look like a Pro Bowl quarterback, and Lamar's taking it to a different level. He's even better.
I can go for that. Who's playing this upcoming Thursday?
It is Browns at Steelers.
Browns at Steelers? Because the thing with Cleveland this year, I want to pick them, but they're so up and down. They're so wishy-washy to me. I don't want to take Pittsburgh because Pittsburgh loves to play a great game against a good team, and then they love to lay an egg against like a slap. Like,
yeah, we're gonna take Baltimore to overtime and beat the Rams, and then we're gonna lose to Miami or something.
Right,
you know what I mean? They're gonna lose a bad game.
Like it's ridiculous, man. That bothers me. But I don't know. I probably would have to go because the Steelers' defense looked really good yesterday. They looked really good.
I tell you, T.J. Watt, man, he's just keeping that lineage on. Him, Dupree, Devin Bush, and that Fitzpatrick pickups. Look at every week. I thought, you know what, they overpaid for this dude.
Minka Fitzpatrick was the best defensive back in the draft class, and it's showing now.
That first round
like,
pick.
I don't think people are like realizing.
It's not going to be a top 10 pick, so they're not going to have to worry that they gave up too much for him.
If I'm Pittsburgh, they gave away a first pick to get Minka. But if I'm Miami, it's just sidebar. I'm taking one of these first round picks. I gotta go get one of these receivers from Alabama. Devontae Smith or Jerry Jeudy or Ruggs or the Visca Chenault or I gotta give me a wideout down there. Bad.
CeeDee Lamb from Oklahoma.
CeeDee Lamb might be the most dominant college football receiver in college football this year. But if you watch Devontae Smith against LSU and how he abused Derek Stingley Jr., man. And I love you to death, D-Sting. I love you to death, Coach Sting. I'm just saying. But, sorry. No, you good. When I was saying I love you, Coach Sting, but I'm just saying it was a freshman on an upperclassman. I understand that. I'm just saying. But, hey, they definitely need to go. They definitely need to get a guy like that down in Miami, based upon that first round pick that they got from Minka, who's doing great for Pittsburgh. But for my Thursday night prediction, I guess to give you a solid prediction, I'll take Pittsburgh I'll take Pittsburgh by 10. Their defense. It's a short week, so the energy of that defense should carry into Thursday night. But if they lose, I wouldn't be surprised. But it will be very interesting because, for what it's worth, taking away Baker. Because I'm not knocking Baker, but he's not the best skill player on the Browns. They have a lot of really, really good skill players right now that are all going to be out there to be seen against Pittsburgh, so let's see. But here's the kicker. Pittsburgh's D-line is probably going to kick Cleveland's O-line's teeth in.
I agree.
and I don't think that'll be close. And I think that's one of the reasons why Pittsburgh will win the game.
Cleveland has the worst short passing game I think I've seen in the NFL for a while. Maybe not the for a team that has as many weapons as they do.
I'll put it like this: I can't speak to that enough or say I know enough about that knowledge-wise to agree or disagree with you. But what I will say was that the goal line display was abysmal yesterday.
It was bad. It was awful.
And if they put things like that out there, then it's all bad. You know,
you can't have a guy that's as dominant as Nick Chubb is when you give him a little bit of space to do.
Facts.
He gets one hole and he just puts a foot in the ground and he's gone.
Facts.
And does it over and over again. And I'm just going to say Steelers by 4. I think the win over the Cleveland getting upset over the Bills carries over a little momentum for their offense.
I got you.
And I think the Bills have a similar defense to Pittsburgh as far as talent level, maybe not scheme-wise.
Talent level, nah. Scheme-wise, yeah. Buffalo's defense is really very well served because of Sean McDermott's like his presence. He's an Eagles guy, so I love.
Pittsburgh's got more talent, but as far as the output they put on the field, I think it's similar.
But Sean McDermott's not going to put his defense in a position to F themselves off. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to do that. So with Pittsburgh's got more better just name and personnel talent, but they might find themselves in some situations where, you know, they
Minka Fitzpatrick has to take a chance to seal the game. You know, not necessarily that they're coming to him, but
I mean,
you know what I mean? Someone needs to jump a route.
I mean, yes and no. I feel like this. Minka was a leader at Alabama. They want him to be a leader in Miami. He got kind of lost in translation because a brother down there named Rashad Jones is at the time, because he was a rookie. You can't give him this type of clout, first round pick or not. Rashad Jones was the best DB for the Miami Dolphins when he first got there. Then Xavier Howard came on the back and they gave him $75 million for 5. One of the worst contracts ever, because I don't even think they're going to get any return on investment for that. Just saying. But it's a situation now with those entities. I just don't feel like, you know, how can I say that? I just don't feel like I just don't feel like it's going to correlate. I just don't feel like it's going to make any sense. You know what I'm saying? So that's just me. But
DBs don't get wins. As sad as it is to say, your defensive line and your linebackers get you wins because of the pressure they can put on the quarterback and because of the.
Well, the thing is with Pittsburgh and Minka is like I said, they brought him into Miami to be a leader. Rashad Jones was the big dog down there, wasn't going. So he got out of there, and then on top of that, they didn't really want to try to win no ball games for real. They weren't trying to win towards nothing. Minka doesn't know anything but winning. He was arguably the most decorated Alabama defensive back to ever play at the university when he came out of school. So it is what it is. But him going to a place like Pittsburgh, he gets a chance to win, and he gets to be a ball hog. It's the best of both worlds. He hasn't had the opportunity to do both of those things since he was at the Capstone down in Tuscaloosa.
I agree. I think like we were talking about with AB, him having that organization behind him makes him that much more lethal because you have the confidence in yourself that if I get it done, I'm going to be supported. I'm not going to be left hanging. Like he could be putting up the same numbers he's putting up right now in Miami, and it wouldn't mean a damn thing.
Right.
In Pittsburgh, it means something to the organization, the coaches, the fans.
That's very true. We get into this college football from the weekend. LSU, Alabama. I've been watching this series a long time. I even remember the year where they met twice, where they went to the wire in Baton Rouge, I think it was, and then they turned around and met again in New Orleans for the national championship. I haven't watched a better Alabama-LSU game since I've been watching Alabama-LSU rivalry games because of what we spoke about yesterday in the phone conference we had. Exciting offense in an LSU-Alabama game. Typically, because there's so much dominant trench play on both sides, LSU-Alabama O-line, LSU-Alabama D-line, both sides, both linebacking cores, both tight end sets, period. It's usually a 3 yards in a cloud of dust kind of game. 13-10, 9-6.
LSU won the first one 7-6 that year.
There you go.
Scored 7 points in the second one. Alabama, I think, scored 21.
There we go, and they were still by the hip. You know what I mean? So yeah, so I feel like with what I saw Saturday, it was just a great display. Felt bad for Tua Tagovailoa. Felt really bad for him because he played his heart out. On being on a surgically repaired ankle less than 10 days ago. So he played his heart out. So I definitely felt bad about that.
And he made the bad play.
Right.
He just lost the ball running into the end zone.
Yeah, but that goes to show you how great of a game that was yesterday, because that mistake wasn't really made late in the game.
Oh,
it was
yeah.
an early game mistake.
Oh, yeah.
And they lost. Mind you, he lost that ball in the red zone going in.
Yeah.
So if he scores those 7 points, they're going to overtime. Who knows what happens? Those 7 points in one drive lost you the game.
Yeah.
So I agree with that wholeheartedly.
And it's sad for a dude like that, because that was his Heisman moment.
Maybe, but the thing of it is this. Okay. If you want to win the Heisman as a quarterback in the SEC, you go to Alabama and you win when they're great. It's a scientifically proven thing. Look at Johnny Manziel, look at Tim Tebow. No, not look at Tim Tebow, look at Johnny Manziel for sure. So, with that being said, if you do that, Joe Burrow went and did that. 21-29, 393 yards, 3 touchdowns, another 64 yards rushing on like 14 carries. But by the same token, though, my point is to see Tua Tagovailoa's Heisman moment yet is not to have been seen, I don't think. I could potentially see that moment in the Iron Bowl. I could potentially see that moment. They're not going to Atlanta now, so he's really got an Iron Bowl left to do that. So we'll see.
Well, don't they face LSU again in the SEC championship? If they went out, both teams went out.
Negative. They would play the East. It would be the East champion versus the West champion. The way it's looking right now is going to be Georgia and LSU for the SEC championship.
Okay, so Alabama and LSU are in the same.
Alabama and LSU are both in the
East.
SEC West, and then Georgia, South Carolina, Florida, Kentucky, Vanderbilt, and Tennessee are all in the SEC East.
Okay.
So yeah, that's how it works. But I mean, yeah, now that I think about it on the retrospect, yeah, Tua could have had his Heisman moment against LSU.
I say
he had it because he was.
I say Bama still gets in.
You know, he didn't have it at the same time.
I think the Big Ten's going to beat up each other right here late in the season. I think.
Yeah, I had a conversation with my brother Charles.
Penn State loses to Ohio State.
What's up, Coach? What's going on?
You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of that carousel of
right.
Teams beating other teams. I think that takes everyone out of the Big Ten.
But this is what I think. I think the Big Ten is going to come down to, at this point, Minnesota and Ohio State.
Oh, absolutely.
If you look at those schedules going forward, and people out here as well in the world watching, if you guys look at what's going on and see who's who in relation to what's going on currently, like, it's definitely going to come down to Minnesota and Ohio State in the grand scheme of the Big Ten. And because of the fact that, by the way, Minnesota doesn't play Michigan or Ohio State for the duration of the season, don't be surprised if P.J. Fleck comes out of the Big Ten.
That's what I mean.
7-year extension, by the way. They gave him a 7-year extension before they beat Penn State because
I think
Florida State was beating down his door.
Minnesota's going to lose one of these games, but they're going to see that they're going to lock that championship in, that they're going to the championship game.
Right.
They're going to trip up before they get there one time.
Well, this is my thing. A one-loss Big Ten champion that doesn't lose to Ohio State or Michigan when they're ranked in the top 15 and better in the last 3 weeks of the college football season, you pretty much cement yourself a place in the playoff.
So you think even if they lose to, because they're not, if Ohio State loses to Illinois and then wins the Big Ten championship, they're going to the Final Four?
Maybe, or they could get bumped by a better one-loss Alabama.
That's what I'm saying. Does Alabama get back in if Minnesota's that team instead of Ohio State?
If Minnesota runs the table and they come out of the Big Ten,
not runs the table, loses a game and wins. Can Alabama jump back in that top four?
A one-loss Minnesota team is not better than a one-loss Alabama team. I'm not even going to disrespect myself and try to have the conversation.
So you think they don't jump back in?
I think Alabama does jump back in potentially, but it's not a conversation that I'm comfortable with wanting to have yet because I just want to see it play out.
I got you.
But for the sake of what we do on the show, then yeah, I think that'll happen. But it's pretty obvious that I don't think the college football playoff committee is going to put they're not going to put a one-loss in Minnesota Big Ten champion over a one-loss SEC team who's an SEC champion runner-up.
You would hope not.
It's been seen. It's to hell with not being hope not. It's been seen and done already.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
So it is what it is. Look at the year Ohio State got snubbed.
It's year one, right?
No,
it was the Baylor Oklahoma year,
yeah,
right?
Baylor,
Oklahoma, Michigan State, and Alabama.
I want to say that was the year, but it was either then or like within the last 2-3 years when Georgia got snubbed. All my Georgia Bulldogs fans out there, if y'all could post on Instagram or Facebook Live, please let me know when. Or for y'all UGA football fans out there, when was the last college football playoff that y'all got that y'all got, Ohio State football fans, Billy Back, guys like that. When's the last time y'all got bumped out of a college football playoff when y'all should have been in? I want to say it was like 16 or 17, but one of y'all out here interactively, man, let me know. But yeah.
So who do you have in your top 5 or 6 right now?
Well, my college football playoff. Well, I'll give you my 5. Number 1 team in the country, LSU. Number 2 team in the country, Clemson, because they're boat racing the ACC, and they need to respect that they're boat racing in the ACC because they get ready. Everybody in the ACC get ready to play equally, so they need to start acting like it. LSU, Clemson. My 3rd pick right now, Ohio State. My 4th pick right now, Georgia. My 5th pick, Minnesota, and my 6th pick probably Alabama. Probably the one that lost, Alabama. You got to respect.
You drop Ohio State down 2 spots after what they did this weekend?
Well, I mean, Ohio State beat Maryland. Maryland has been a laughing stock of the Big Ten in football since they joined. I'm not even having that conversation.
73.
It's Maryland in football. Maryland hasn't really been good in sports since Gary Williams left as the head coach of Maryland basketball. Like, seriously. And Mark Turgeon is not bad.
True.
And Mark Turgeon is not a bad basketball coach. He's not. And they've done well. But like Maryland football, come on, bro. I haven't remembered anything about Maryland football. We being worth a damn.
All I mean is I don't think you drop down teams for doing what they're supposed to do. If Ohio State's number 1 and they put up 73 points on a team and beat the shit out of them, that's the way. Right. You keep them at 1, I think.
But see, this is my thing, though.
And LSU's win's more impressive, I agree.
LSU's not going to not be the number 1 team in the country this week.
I think so, too.
You can forget that. I can tell you that now. But
I disagree with it either way.
I feel like this. As long as you have, this week, as long as you have LSU, Clemson, Ohio State, and another, I don't know, whoever's the 4th best team in the country, if you give me those 3 teams in the top 4, I'm happy. Because those are the 3 best teams in college football right now. Period. Minnesota, I can't prove that. All I will say is this. Minnesota is the most dangerous college football team in college football right now. Why? Because they have a certain kind of guy leading their program. It's one thing to have great players. It's another thing to recruit. It's another thing to have great facilities. It's another thing to even have great boosters and great support behind you from the athletic department, from the football program in which you coach for. But it's another thing to have a great coach.
Yes.
PJ Fleck just basically turned down a 5-year contract for Florida State. That's why Minnesota gave him 7. Like,
how did Urban Meyer get the Florida contract? The original. Being an incredible coach in Utah, where no one wants to go play.
But by the same token, though, Urban Meyer should always send a Christmas card to Alex Smith. He was his number 1 pick coming out of Utah.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But it's not like he didn't prove it after that with Tebow, Chris Lee, all that.
We're not talking about none of that. But I'm just saying, like, before Alex Smith went number 1 in 03 to the Niners, I didn't know who the hell Urban Meyer was. I'm just being honest.
Oh,
and mind you, I'm a diehard Miami Hurricane fan. So, but after the fact, though, like, and by the way, Urban Meyer, I think a lot of people don't want it. One of my very good friends on Facebook doesn't want to see this, but I think Urban Meyer should be the head coach of Florida State. I just think
if he wants, I think he could do whatever he wants to do.
Why do people ask me this? Because of the simple fact. Why do I say this, and why would people want to know why I say this or why I feel this way? Simply because of the fact that Urban Meyer nobody thought he'd go to Ohio State after he wiped Ohio State out to start their dynasty in Florida. He ended up at Ohio State. Nobody would think that he would go to the in-state rival and beat up on Florida. I could definitely see it, especially for the right dollar.
And recruiting in Florida, Urban Meyer will walk into the state and instantly dominate
Urban Meyer don't even worry about recruiting at a state level no more. He's that kind of guy. Urban Meyer. I'm saying what you're saying, but Urban Meyer's the kind of guy. He gets on a private plane, and if you're in Timbuktu, you're going to come and play at Ohio State, Florida.
And Florida, but what I mean is he's going to be able to walk down his street in Tallahassee and go to 4 different high schools that have 5-star recruits.
And be able to recruit. My boy just said, don't say it. That's funny. He's the guy I was telling you about it, doesn't want Urban Meyer's head coach at Florida State. But from there, want to talk for a hot second about Clyde Edwards-Helaire, running back from LSU, number 22 this weekend. I saw Darren Sproles reincarnated, and it was amazing. Because he had a spin move that was so hellacious that they couldn't do anything with it, and it just did my heart.
Over and over again.
But the thing of it is, it goes to show you, seeing him run the ball the way he did, he showed a lot of fundamental weaknesses and a lot of things that defenses are not taught at the high school or college level anymore about tackling, things of that nature. Perfect example, the last touchdown run he had of the day, Trayvon Diggs, number 7, the field side corner for Alabama. He comes down, he wraps him up, runs his feet, good tackle, you know what I'm saying, violent underhook and all, but he loses all momentum and all torque generated towards getting him to the ground by trying to rip a fumble. If you're down at the 3, let my front 7 go to work. Let Roquan Smith and Anthony Jennings and I'm just not Roquan Smith, but let Roquan Davis and Anthony Jennings and etc. go to work in the front 7. Let my guys give my guys a shot.
That's exactly what goes through my head every time I watch a college game these days, man. It kind of hates for the. Does it have to do with the practicing? You think? Is it because they don't allow you to hit as much?
At the end of the day, college that's not so much a thing. In the pros, that's a big thing. But in college nowadays, when it comes down to it, you still have to account for a kid getting in the moment and not living up to the moment.
He just does, they don't have the experience to where it's.
This is not even that.
Going for the tackle in that mindset.
It's a very
in that game because if they hold him to a field goal there, you're still within.
The game's different. Who knows how the game turns out? I agree with that. But the thing of it is this: when you play football a certain kind of way, and the moment gets to being in front of your face, some people handle it, some people don't. That ain't got nothing to do with coaching. That ain't got nothing to do with none of that. That just comes from a.
In the NFL,
that just comes from a pure scenario of a guy either fighting or flying in the moment. That's just human nature. You know?
I just don't want
that's my opinion.
The lack of wrapping up and the lack of hitting at the waist instead of trying to hit them up high. I don't want that leak into the NFL.
I got you.
Because I want defenses to keep doing what they're doing in the NFL. I think we're seeing a resurgence of great defense.
Right.
I mean, if it wasn't for the Patriots,
safety's more important than good defense. Let's call it what it is. I play professional football for a living. My safety is way more important than me.
But isn't it safer if a guy breaks down in front of a running back and tackles him with the correct form? It's much safer than a dude trying to come in and hit stick somebody.
Right. But this is my thing, and I'm gonna leave it at this, I guess. That's imperfect. Very rarely, like 80 and any of my followers out here that play defense, high school, college, professionally, whatever, please comment. Defensive linemen, linebackers, DBs. The strike point, or like the point where you're hitting a guy, man, it's such an uncontrolled. It's such an uncontrolled variable in the grand scheme of what's going on. Man, you never really know, bro. To say that the laurels that I'm resting on and my coach taught me how to properly tackle, all that might go out the window per how it's addressing me, per how the ball addresses me as a defender. That's all I'm saying.
And I agree. I know what you're saying. It's instinct at a certain point.
Right.
But my point is, are we not allowing enough physical practice time where that instinct is second nature to do the right thing?
Of course they're not allowing that anymore. Of course they're not making the time for that because of the simple fact that, it's not safe. Safety is more important than good football.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying now. It's not safe to even practice that much.
Safety is more important than good football. So coaches are not like certain coaches kind of press the envelope with that, if you will, and that's cool. But like most guys,
you could say it. Russia.
Not even that. Just different.
Khabib grew up wrestling bears. Okay, they pushed the envelope.
I won't speak to that. Cause I'm an MMA guy.
No, I'm just messing.
I got you. But by the same token, situation where like for me, I feel like it's just getting back to that one play. He could have tackled him a certain kind of way, but he's thinking, I want to get the ball out to make a play. And nah, brother, I'm 5'10", 220 pounds. Get off me, little dude. I'm about to go score. That's how I went.
It was awesome.
Exactly.
I mean, it's Alvin Kamara.
Oh, and by the way, well, no, not necessarily, because Alvin Kamara is like 6 feet tall. He's a tall guy.
No. I mean, that's why I like watching Alvin Kamara. He's got that same kind of balance. CeeDee Lamb has it too. They get spun around and they don't stop. Their feet always keep moving.
Alvin Kamara arguably is the hardest tackle in the NFL.
Oh, it's incredible watching him, man. The balance that dude has is, it's insane.
And by the way, I'm going ahead and say this now. After what he did this weekend at LSU, Joe Burrow is definitely cemented his place in New York. Will he win the trophy? I don't know. I do not know this because he has like you saying big moments. He's got more Heisman moments left. You get what I'm saying?
I mean, SEC championship game.
Not even that. Slaughtering out Arkansas next week. 6 touchdown performance against Arkansas. Going to Atlanta, balling out crazy, or having another Heisman moment in Atlanta. And then, the Heisman will be after the conference championship, but nonetheless. So, yeah.
So I give you my top 5 Heisman. You gave me your top 5 college football. I'm going to go Joe Burrows right now.
Okay.
Josh Fields. I think when he comes out.
Justin Fields?
Sorry, Justin Fields. I said Josh. Justin Fields. I think when he comes out, he's going to be the best quarterback we've seen come out of the draft in a while. I honestly believe that.
That's a conversation I guess we'll just have in April because I vehemently disagree, but we'll figure it out.
Okay. Chase Young. I still think he's third, even with missing the game this weekend. It wasn't a big game. It was Maryland. If he gets to play
for missed this one game and the other 4 games that they're going to give him a suspension on, I think either today or tomorrow from the NCAA, he's freaking.
You think he gets 4?
You can forget about it.
Okay. Well, I'll take him off my list. When this suspension comes down,
it's just a news report that came out that they're going to give him a 4-game suspension. It hasn't happened yet.
That's what I mean. When the suspension comes down, he's off my list, of course.
Okay.
I got 2.
He's not on my list right now. He's the best. He's the best player, arguably defensively in college football, but he's definitely not. He's definitely. Thank you, Mr. Lees. I appreciate it. But yeah, he's definitely not.
Tua, number 4. And I can't even read my own handwriting. Trevor Lawrence at number 5. And I really don't think Trevor Lawrence has much of a chance.
Well, this is my thing. If you are an honest surveyor or you're an honest connoisseur of college football, like me and you are, Trevor Lawrence should definitely be in New York.
Absolutely.
They're going to run the table. He wiped out his conference. Like, he wiped his conference out completely. Why not?
They've had, 2 close games the entire year? And it wasn't his fault.
You saw what he just did at NC State Saturday.
Yeah. I mean, that was embarrassing.
He didn't even have to throw over 275 yards. He had 4 touchdowns.
Embarrassing.
Like, it's crazy. Kids
Travis Etienne looked unstoppable, too.
Travis Etienne is going to be the best running back come out of this class. Because he's done it for so long now. People forget he's a 4-year player. Very rarely do you see guys stay in a program for 3-4 years now and get that type of prep for the league before they go to the league.
I get it as Jonathan Taylor, but I see what you're saying.
Jonathan Taylor is going to be like every other Wisconsin running back in the league.
Like Melvin Gordon, James White. Extremely productive?
Yes. For sure. Because people forget, it's a big spectrum with Wisconsin running backs.
Oh, there is.
It's either like Ron Day, Michael Bennett.
3 yards in a cloud of dust?
No. Just guys who didn't do anything.
Oh, okay.
You got Michael Bennett, Ron Dane kind of pros, and then you got Melvin Gordon, James White kind of pros.
Yeah, all pros.
Exactly.
What they do.
Well, I mean, I think there's a lot of running backs in the league better than Melvin Gordon, but that's just my opinion.
No, I
also
agree.
feel like, but in the same. He's
had a bad O-line.
Their O-line's decent in San Diego, and their O-line has been relatively okay since he's been there. Their O-line all time is pretty whack, but I know a lot about O-line, so I think they're Russell Okung, Dan Feeney, Marquise Pouncey when he's healthy, Forrest Lamp when he's healthy, and Joseph Barksdale from LSU. That's a relatively serviceable O-line when healthy.
That's my point.
Pouncey's on IR. I think Forrest Lamp was on IR.
Okung's been hurt a lot over the last couple weeks since he came
played
from
Sunday. I think he played this past weekend, but he's hurt. So getting to that point, let me see. So I guess segueing now, I'll be really brief on this, and I guess I'll just kind of take the lead on this one. The situation that is the Arena 1 or the Arena Football League debacle. As a kid who got his first opportunity to really play professional football, from the Arena Football League, 2013, Coach Derek Stingley gave me the opportunity to try out and potentially make the Pittsburgh Power, that summer. And from there I went and had the opportunity to work with Doug Plank down in Orlando, had the opportunity to work with Clint Dozell in Philadelphia. I've met some really good friends from the Arena League. I think that the brand should still be around. I definitely think that the brand should be able to have a way so they can be able to unionize and take care of the player and also have a great league, period, point blank. And I'm just sad that it happened. You know what I mean? I'm very excited for the IFL, very excited for the 13-team league or the 12 or 13-team league that the IFL will showcase this year. And I'm really, really glad that my peers in the IFL are in a position now where they have the #1 platform in arena football to show their skills because they really deserve it. So I'm super happy about that. Very sad that Arena 1 did what it did, but it's great for the IFL. NAL, but yeah, it's great for the IFL. So I'm super excited about that.
Where can people watch IFL games?
IFL games can be seen starting either the season's going to start. Well, I don't. The schedule will be dropping before the end of November, but IFL games can be watched on the Indoor Football League YouTube channel. So
Okay.
that's how they can be seen.
Awesome.
Yeah, and then like most places they got like regional TV contracts, but like for a national broadcast or to see it nationally or see it internationally, you go on YouTube per your time zone. So it's
Well, that makes it way easier than any other sport. So.
Facts. I wanted to, I guess we're kind of getting to the point I want to wrap up, guys. I wanted to speak on, I guess kind of wrap it up with another Veterans Day segment before we get out of there. Just want to talk briefly about 4 different people that I thought did some really cool things per my research in relation to people who also had employment in the military. And all these guys now are veterans because none of these guys are current military guys now. So here we go. The Admiral, David Robinson, Annapolis grad, that's Navy for those who don't know. He was basically given pre-graduation a honorable medical discharge from the military, basically saying that he was too tall to be in the Navy. Not that he was sick, not that he had any physical ailments. Mind you, he was an all-pro level basketball player and a quadruple double performer in one game in the NBA in I think mid-90s over he was a great player for 16, 17 years in the NBA, something like that. So, that being said, David Robinson couldn't go to the Navy because he was too tall. I thought that was really, really quirky.
So to mention something about that, back in Prussia in the 1800s, whatever, there was a king that actually found the tallest people he could and paid them exorbitant amount of money to do just a tall guy regimen. So they see them coming, they think they're giants. Back then it might work a little bit better.
Right.
Do you think they should have done that with David Robinson? Make bigger submarines, bigger naval ships, bigger airplanes, so he could serve his country dutifully.
I'm not going to spend millions of dollars to accommodate one person.
No, I'm talking about we find a regiment. We find 10,000 of these giant men that want to be pilots and make big planes.
I mean, yeah, but nah, it serves me no purpose. What do I do that for?
Oh, I know. I'm just messing.
I'm pretty sure you just put him a chain. So.
We need giant people in the military, and I think it's unfair that they don't have the. I'm just kidding. Nowadays, it don't matter if you're a giant or not.
Right. I mean, but I don't know. I just feel I just thought that because a lot of people told me for a long time David Robinson did that because of that situation, but I didn't know. I was like, okay, I didn't know that.
Well, it's crazy to think about how far technology's come.
Right.
To where 200 years ago, David Robinson is the admiral forever. He's a general. He's running the military because he is 7 foot tall.
I got you.
He's a scary athlete.
Well, let me see. Moving on beyond that, in fact, he was for a 3 or 4 year span, he was the most dominant big in the NBA.
Well, I mean, 10-time All-Star, MVP in '95.
Right. Quadruple double game performance.
Won the Naismith and Wooden Award winner in college. The dude was dominant, no doubt.
Right. And then they drafted a brother in '97 who thought he was going to be a swimmer, and he ended up being Tim Duncan. That's really crazy. Hey, Auntie Yadi, how you doing? What's going on, Auntie Nikki? Moving on to Larry Doby. Once again, very short story. World War II vet. When he finished with his tour out in the Pacific, he did some work out in the Pacific area, kind of near Pearl Harbor. He ended up joining the Cleveland Indians in 1965, if I'm not mistaken, and he broke the color barrier in the American League. So I thought that was super, super dope. Super dope fact.
47.
47, thank you. Once again, my numbers guy.
1947.
So I gotta get sharp on my numbers apparently because I don't really like it. Because all people who know me and follow me would know sport it he knows the numbers, but my boy knows the numbers, so I ain't mad at that. I gotta get sharp like my boy again. Yogi Berra.
One. I just wanted to have a mention Larry Doby. He doesn't get talked about enough. He's actually a much better baseball player than Jackie Robinson was.
Larry Doby was a Hall of Famer.
7-time All-Star, World Series champion, 2-time AL home run leader, almost 1,000 career RBIs and 250 home runs. The dude was incredible.
Facts. Larry Doby was a beast, to say the least. Yogi Berra, 10-time World Series champion, 13-time All-Star, all active. None of this as a man.
18-time.
18-time All-Star?
Yeah.
18-time All-Star. Cool. I get 13 mixed up with the NFL number. 'Cause I think Peyton's at 13 in the NFL or something like that, like the most Pro Bowls all time. I get 13, 18 mixed up. So 18-time.
Yeah, most all-time.
All-Star. Yeah, most all-time. Most all-time, not even like close. What made Yogi Berra dope was he was a gunner mate in World War II. He was a gunner mate in World War One. Was it 2 or 1?
Yeah, it's World War II.
Okay,
Invasion of Normandy.
Right. Well, gunnery mate, invasion of Normandy. From there, he what's the word I'm looking for? From there, he finished his service. He received a Purple Heart. I don't know how many. I know there's a lot of veteran pro athletes and all that good stuff, but I don't know how many have a Purple Heart. So that's pretty dope.
I think posthumously, however you say that. I think Pat Tillman might have one.
Right. I'm not gonna get into that though.
Maybe Villanueva. But it's for being injured in the line of duty.
Right.
During a combat situation. So yeah, I mean, people who get injured are not going to have that opportunity to come back and be a professional athlete for 12 more years, however many years he played. I mean, it was
That's what I'm saying. Like
his career is wild, man.
Right. But then again, he came from an era where like you saw Lynn Dawson on the sideline smoking a cigarette in the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah, I know.
It's like they were men's men. You know what I mean? So,
different kind of warriors back then.
Facts.
Different kind. I'm going to walk off a battlefield where I just got injured, and then I'm going to go smoke a cigar while I catch for Babe Ruth.
Exactly.
Or not Babe Ruth, but Warren Spahn, whoever was pitching to him back then.
Let me see. This last guy I'm going to mention, his name is Mike Anderson. He's a South Carolina native, so that's why that matters to me. It was worth mentioning because I, too, am from South Carolina, from Columbia, South Carolina. Mike Anderson was a Marine. Well, he's a Marine. He did tours in Tanzania, Kenya, and Somalia when there were some different different conflicts going on over there, I guess in the late 90s, early 2000s. 2006 draft, 2007 draft, he was a 6th-round pick out of the University of Utah as a 27-year-old running back. He was a 6th-round pick by the Denver Broncos, if you guys remember. Number 38, more of like a darker skin kind of guy, bald head. He was the 2007-2008 season NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year, and to this day, I have to check this out, so I'll give you guys an update in the next episode, but to my knowledge, to this point from what they've said so far, he still has the record for the most rushing yards in a game by a rookie in NFL history. So, pretty dope.
251 yards as a rookie.
Told him. He was 27, bro. He's got babies and bills.
Not just that. That's a grown man. We call him a rookie, but that's like one of those NBA players from Croatia that comes over when they're 29. They're bald rookies.
That's what I'm saying.
But not just that. He also had only rookie with 3 games over 175 yards in the same season. He had one for 187 and 195.
I got you.
1,487 rushing yards, 15 touchdowns his rookie year. A really incredible start to a career. Had one more 1,000-yard season during his career, but never shined like he did as a youngin. A youngin, right?
Well, oh man. So, first one out.
All right.
We got it.
UntiedJordans podcast number 1.
We got the first one in, man. We got the first one in. Once again, this podcast today was brought to you by the Conspiracy Steve podcast, as well as Coach Jordan football consultation out of Charlotte, North Carolina. You can reach Coach Jordan for football consultation at 470-426-7354 or jmckie78@gmail.com. You want to give an email drop to the podcast? To the Conspiracy Steve? Steven?
Oh, no. So, I'm not going to give out my email on here.
Touche.
No. Starting another podcast with a different buddy. It's a political conspiracy. True history is what I like to call it.
Okay, then.
Undiscovered history.
Oh,
it's going to be called Sugar Tits and Captain Nemo Go Deep. It's going to be comedy. It's going to be fun. So I'll let y'all know when that's dropping, and guess we'll see y'all next time.
For sure. For Stephen Untied, once again, my name is Jordan Mosley. This has been Untied.